Welcome back, everyone. It's the Burning Wheel, and things are happening. And while I would love to continue seeing what Bernard and Saba and Sia are up to, I'm also very curious about Gretelin. So, Gretelin, what is your situation like here in the human village? Right, like we've only seen you on the road with your human friends,
Hmm.
and we know that when you wear the mask, it drives people away.
Yes.
Um, so where are you, right? Everybody else has been assigned some communal like tent structure to spend time in, and
Hmm.
where do we find Gretelin?
Well, I am actually more or less sleeping on my cart
Yeah.
for the most part. It's probably parked right outside uh, the designated structure of my companions.
Yeah, I think that your companions are all
Where they're-
split up. Your
oh,
your
okay.
companions have been like, well, there's like some space in that tent, so go sleep there and don't get in anybody's way. Like they're given space wherever we can find them, rather than like
Oh,
a
okay.
whole tent to themselves.
Okay. Um, well, then I guess is there like a central meeting area, like a sort of mess hall type long tent where people
I don't think
gather?
so. These people
Or
spend most of their time outside. They stay in their tents to sleep, or if like there's a like bad weather or mosquitoes or whatever, like they'll congregate in the center of the little like tent village.
okay, so I guess my card is just it wouldn't be in the center because that's awkward, but just parked along one of one of the other tents if they're all pretty unremarkable.
Sure. Yeah.
Because her intention is to um she actually wants to be out in the open so that she can engage at any given opportunity.
Mm.
Like if there's some people like walking about and like eating and drinking or something, she's gonna try to join them and like be jovial with them. Or if anyone is like working on something, she's gonna try to strike up a conversation
Hmm.
because she wants them to warm up to her.
Okay.
She's not wearing her mask anymore. It's like behind her head because she's not threatened anymore, and she wants them to feel comfortable with her.
Okay. So it sounds like
Yep.
you have an intent here, and your intent is to show the people of the village that you're not something to be afraid of, or you want to
Yes.
like have them. Okay. Sure. So
Well, I
how
want
do
them to be
you?
my friends.
Okay, yeah.
I want friendship.
How do you befriend the people of the village? What's the task set before you then? What skills do you use to do that?
I mean, I let's see. Let's take a look at my skills. Why don't we?
It's a good call.
Uh,
Hit up that character sheet.
I mean, I have. Oh God, I have like haggling skills. I mean, I guess I like um try to like drink with them and like dance with them if given the opportunity, and like try to like share stories with them
Hmm.
if that's something that they're interested in.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing you could do to reinforce a bond. Stuff that's something you could do once they've let you in, but break the ice. There needs to be something you can do to show these people that you're not. Yeah, you're not scary. Like you're an outsider, and you're weird. They've never most of them. I would say all of them have never seen a dwarf before. Um, and yeah, being able to like dance and like drink with them and stuff. That's something you could do once they've let you in. But you're not gonna be able to just walk into a tent where they're like having a party and be like,
Well, not into someone's
yeah,
tent.
yeah. But that's the thing. Like that would be where those things happen.
All right, well, I can't build anything, so uh I guess I don't do that.
Well, you
I mean,
can. I mean,
I can make
you
a
could
fire.
you can certainly like because this is the thing. You're cart is out in the open and people are walking by it, but right now they're kind of like not frightened, but they don't understand it, and they're giving it a wide berth and trying to like avoid it. Like children are interested, but this is a like get away from that. You don't know what it is kind of thing, where like parents will take their kids away from it.
Well, how can I gather enough information about these people in order to figure out what would make them comfortable with approaching me?
I don't know. You could ask. I mean, this is the thing. You're all a bit on the outside, so I mean, you'd have to have someone in the village you could ask, someone you could relate to as a person, and find an opportunity to just talk to one of them and like make friends with them. That might be something you could do.
Well, what about Rubati?
I was gonna say the only person that trusts us would seem like a good choice.
The other option would be like to make a big, non-threatening public spectacle of yourself and like, you know, invite people into you rather than trying to go out to them. Right? And if you have some like mercantile like stuff going on, you could definitely.
I could do that with like a display of like, I'm making a bunch of cool stuff today. Everyone come watch, but I can't make stuff because I'm hurt.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the sort of the point, right? Is that like you're in this position where like it's hard for you to go to the easy place to just be like, yeah, obviously I can just like start smithing, but I don't want them to see like, you know, you're injured and it would look like you were hurt. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna go with my original plan and try to find whoever. If there is a person in the village that is like a designated medicine man, or
the great thing about the Burning Wheel is that if you want there to be an NPC, you can make one. Yeah, I mean, you can make a circles roll to find someone who is like, you could find someone who knows about dwarves, who has met a dwarf before. That's a thing you could do. Like those things are possible. Let's look at your life. I mean, hell, you could find like, you could circles up a dwarven merchant who's traded with these people before, who's like coming through town, right? Because you can't circle up humans because they're outside of your world. But like another dwarven artificer who's like traveling to trade, that could be a thing. Or you can or you can pick an NPC that I've already talked about and go and try to convince them to be your friend, like Habani or Tamzi or Rubati, or go talk to Marta. If you don't want to risk the circles.
I guess I had talked to Rabati, not Robati.
Yeah, it's if the spelling helps at all, it's Rubati. Her name is Rubati.
Okay, Rubati.
Yeah, Rubati. Yeah, so you want to find her?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's have a conversation with this person.
Sure. Are you looking for her under any particular circumstance? You want to find her at a particular time or place? Like alone or in public?
When she's alone.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Maybe try to identify which tent thing is hers.
Yeah, I mean, you've had some time to observe the comings and goings of the people, and I think you know where her tent is. She lives with her aunt and uncle and some of her cousins. Okay. You don't know, like, you just know that you don't know where like her parents are or any of that stuff. But
all right,
okay, sure, yeah. So you find her, and Rubati is I think she's you wanted her by herself, so she's like performing some kind of like maintenance on her equipment. Like she's retying the head of her spear and checking that stuff. And she's sitting by herself on a hill that's just outside of the little like tent area proper. And when you find her, or when you head out over there, she's sitting up on the top of this hill on like a rock, like whistling to herself, and you hear her whistling before you actually see her, and then you come around, you can see her up on this grassy hill with her spear.
I jaunt toward her to the tune of her whistling,
Okay.
wave very broadly.
Yeah. Do you make a point of being like at a distance and like
Yeah.
shout, you want to surprise her? Okay. Yeah, like she starts a little bit, but you're far enough away that she turns and like squints against the evening sun, and she
Hello.
she kind of like furrows her brow and like raises an eyebrow. Like, oh, hello.
Hello, friend. What are you doing this evening?
She looks at her spear. She's like, the head of it keeps falling off when I throw it.
Oh, goodness. You could do with some metal, I see.
And what are
It's good.
you wearing? Like, what do you have on you? Like, do you have any like obvious like?
I'm just wearing like light dwarven light mail, I think it is.
Okay.
And like probably like leather boots.
So she eyes your mail armor because it's like fucking super fancy magic dwarf armor. She looks at it and she nods and she says, "We sometimes trade for it, but I'm not important enough to have any. Marta has a sword, crafted of steel. It's very sharp."
Not important enough. What does that mean?
She kind of like puts her hands up, like that's just how it is. You know,
Like completely matter of factly.
yeah, like a candle. She says to you, she's like, a candle's not as important as a campfire, and a campfire is no match for the sun. So it goes. Some of us are born to be candles. She shrugs. Can't pick who your parents were. Are.
Candle's better
Whichever.
for reading than a campfire. But anyway, it's a good thing to be honing your tools. I very, very much appreciate that. And I sit down next to her and pull out like a grinding stone thingy and just start like sharpening my axe next to her on the ground.
Okay. She watches and like looks at you and kind of observes your skill. And it's hard for you to tell whether like she's got this kind of like bemused look, like she's not sure if you're like just showing off, and she gets kind of embarrassed about her like spear and just like gives up and just kind of like puts it away and like watches you with what you're doing.
Oh, you're finished. Oh, okay. And I stop.
She shakes her head. She says, "I don't think it's that stick's destiny to be a spear. I think it's just a stick and a sharp rock."
Well, that's all in how you use it, right?
She kind of like squints at you.
No, really. I mean, it's it's not the materials. It's not who makes it. It's who's using it.
Easy for you to say, dwarf. You're the one wearing that. And she like gestures kind of like at your armor.
Oh, this. Well, I mean, it's really not much. I mean,
And so while you're saying that, I think that like
cuts.
the HBO episode version of this is like intense close up of her eyes and like the reflection of your armor and the like the sunlight on the armor and like her like licking her lips and then like kind of like she's like, this is all from the perspective of your greed, right? Like she's looking at it and it goes from being like she's admiring it to like you're starting to wonder like, looking at my armor a lot. What's that about? And yeah, so
I show her my cuts very pointedly underneath. Like it's probably like tied down the side, and I'm like, well, like I said, it's not all about what you're wearing or what you're using.
Yeah, I think she kind of like shakes her head. She's like, I don't know. I think if I had armor like that, well, I could decide to be more important.
Well, maybe you will one day. And I slap her on the shoulder, maybe a little bit too hard.
Yeah, yeah. And I think she looks at it and she's like, yes, perhaps.
Perhaps, yes.
She wants your shit. You need to kill her.
I can get something out of her. I don't know where this conversation's going.
Mhm.
Do you know any healers in this village that could help me out with my little
She says, well, didn't your mother teach you anything about taking care of yourself?
Oh, well, of course. I work in a forge, dear. You think I don't know how to create a salve for burns? This is a little more serious than that.
She's been scowling at you since you said the word forge, in that she's embarrassed because she doesn't know what that word means, but doesn't want to say anything about it. And she's like, yes, of course. But, and she says, well, we don't have, it's everyone's job to take care of themselves. And sometimes their children and the elders. We have no healers. Everyone is.
Not a great health plan.
She shrugs. Some people join the ancestors sooner than later. So it goes.
So you find great pride in the fight, do you? Your people?
Sometimes. We're hunters mostly. And she's like looking at your like injury, and she's like, that looked painful. You should take your armor off. I can look at it for you.
I don't think that's really necessary. You said just so yourself. You're not much of your people don't have healers, so
I didn't say that. I said we didn't have healers. I know many
that's what I said.
poultices, and I can tie a bandage, and maybe I can help you.
Oh, well, I would greatly appreciate it if you could assist me. That would be
Yeah,
so
she nods, and she's like, "Let me help you." And she like goes to like reach to like help you undo the armor.
yeah, I untie one. Where did I get?
I think it's
I
like
get
stabbed in the side.
side, right?
Yeah.
So I unlash the little leather ties from one seam
Hmm.
down the side and
Okay.
kind of roll over.
Yeah. And so she's like kind of like fidgeting with it, and she's like, it's still in the way. Just take it off. You're safe. No one will take it. Just set it in the grass there.
What do you mean? I just come on. Look at me. What do you want? We're out in the open. This is ridiculous. Just help me out.
And I think
Can't
while
you?
you're talking to her, you notice that on like on her belt, she has like a like an iron knife that's like just like hanging kind of like ominously at her hip. I love describing this stuff because like I think we're all aware. I'm narrating to your character's greed, not to the like explicit reality of the situation. Like all these things are actually happening, but I'm playing up the like threatening nature of it because you're a dwarf and because she keeps eyeballing your armor, right? I'm just making that clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah.
No, she's obviously a thief, and she obviously wants to take all your shit and kill you.
Yeah, your greed is telling you that. That's like the voice babbling in the back of your head, but um but yeah, so she's just like she doesn't understand why you're being difficult.
Look, my my I like chuckle at her and I'm like my body's not much to look at, hon. Let's just deal with this wound here and keep it decent, all right?
So she shakes her head and she's like, it's fine. I can't. Let me take a look. And she like looks at the wound and she's like makes some sounds and then she's like, it's bad. I mean, it's not so bad, but well, we'll need some things. It'll heal better if we. And she names a couple of like you guess maybe like plants. You don't recognize the words. She's like, if we could find any of those, it would help. But and she like looks kind of out away from the village. She's like, but I'm not supposed to go alone. So
Could I go with you?
she shrugs. I suppose we have maybe an hour before it gets dark.
This will be fun. Let's do it.
Yeah, and she like nods. And it's a totally innocuous nod, but some part of you is like, wait, You can go out into the dark alone with this person.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Some part of you, yeah, that like the dwarven part of your brain is like, okay, but be ready, you know. Are you armed? Did you bring like your axe?
Yeah, I have it on me.
Yeah. Okay. You didn't leave it behind. It's not time to set aside the axe.
I mean, it's strapped onto me. I don't set any of my possessions down.
Okay. All right. So she she says she says, okay, well, let's go. And she kind of like jogs off ahead of you. So why don't you make a test? Now, do you have herbalism? Is that the skill?
I have herbalism and I also have apothecary.
Yes. So apothecary will be your making the medicine out of the herbs. So let me just check if it's herbalism or scavenging. I think it's herbalism to find. Herbalism. Oh no, herbalism is like apothecary. Okay. So they can help each other. So it's going to be a scavenging test. Do you have scavenging? Because if not, she does. Okay, she's got it if you want to help her.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so scavenging for just like basic medicinal herbs, we'll say ob 2. So I'll roll for her. If you want to help with herbalism or apothecary, both of those are appropriate.
Yeah, herbalism makes sense to help with.
Okay. All right, so let's give her some scavenging. And she's got an extra die. And we'll say it's like, up 2. So let's see if the two of you can find the material you need. Ooh, no. Okay.
Wow.
So, I think that like it takes like longer for her to to find. She's like, no, there should be some growing here, and she can't find it, and like it gets darker and darker, and you get further and further away from the village, and before you realize it, it's like dark, and you don't know which way the village is in. You've gotten kind of turned around, and you notice like she's looking through, like she's down looking through like some plants, and you could swear she's looked through this bush before. Like you feel like you could all turn around and she's like led you in a circle. So that's where you're at. And let's cut back to that in a second. I want to give Octavian a chance to do something. So Octavian, once you realize that the people here don't have any form of defense, what do you do?
I think I want to seek out Rubati.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. So this is before she and Gretelin go on their little adventure. So we get a scene with Rubati. Where do you seek her out? Are you looking for like a particular situation or?
No, I'm just trying to find where she spends her time during the day,
Okay.
and I go to like the Marta's tent or whatever. Or, I don't know.
Yeah, so you just kind of wander around looking for her.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think you find her. She's with like a group of other, like 3 or 4 other people, men and women, and they're sitting around a campfire outside of one of the tents. There's a little fire. It's like early evening. Everything's kind of gold, and she seems to be in the middle of telling them a story. But she's speaking like their language. None of them notice you approaching.
Okay. I think I just walk straight up to the fire in plain view and stand there in front of them, and I'm like, Rubati, might I have a word?
Okay, yeah, so you just walk up and they get all, like, she stops talking and stares at you, and the rest of them all look at you. And they all kind of have that same look that she did before. And she nods and she stands up and she hands the spear that she was holding. She hands it to somebody else, and she says to you, "Yes, yes, of course," and walks over to you like deferentially.
Standing a little too close to the fire, a cinder lands on my shoulder, and I'm like, okay. So I just wanted to talk to you about your current defense situation, because I know you've heard this before from my people, but I think we have a lot to offer that you are lacking. And Marta won't listen, so.
She nods. She says, "I think you're absolutely right. Marta is a fool and caught up in the old ways. We need to let them go. There are new, better things for us on the horizon." And she kind of like looks pointedly at you.
Yeah. I'm liking this. I'm like, that's what I've been talking about. Oh, that's so good for you to. I'm so glad you feel that way. So, I mean, your people, like, you need some defense practices in place, and we need to train guards, and have a garrison ready. Anything can happen. Had I maybe marched up with a few forces than our scraggly band here, we could have taken the city. Not that we would, but
She shakes her head and she says, "But it would be your right. All of us," and she like gestures around, "we're ordained to be your subjects. I knew." She kind of like looks down, embarrassed, like she's told this story before and people didn't believe her, and she's like, "I knew where to find you. I had a vision. I knew you were coming. The God of Fire told me."
so my eyes like widen, and I put my hands on both her shoulders, and I'm like, that is what I've been looking to hear. I can't believe you have this sense that none of your people seem to carry with them, except of course present company excluded. And I sort of look shiftily at the other folks around the fire,
And they're just like listening and kind of nodding.
yeah. And I'm like, so still holding onto her shoulders, I'm like, we have got to do something about Marta so the Fire Clan can properly aid the Plains folk. What can we do?
She shakes her head and she says, "Marta is the strongest of all of us. That's why she's the chief. If someone were stronger than her, showed that they could lead better," and she's like keeps looking at you, like very intense eye contact. She's like, "then they would be in charge."
I release my hands and sort of step back, and I'm like looking sort of just like ponderously for a moment at no one in particular. I'm like, yes, well, of course it would be my right under the eventual circumstances to govern this region, but to depose Marta is not necessarily in my intentions. Do you fear that is the only course?
She shakes her head and says, "Whatever you believe is best." But she like kind of sighs and she's like, "But I've tried to speak with Marta. I've told her about my dreams, but she won't believe me. She says I'm a fool like my parents."
And what do your dreams tell you?
She says, and she stops looking at you for the first time since you walked up, and she stares into the fire, and she says, "I dream of flames, vast and powerful, consuming all the grasslands. I dream of a cleansing, of something new from the ashes. I had dreams of you, my lord, clad in golden armor, given to us by the God of Fire." She like you can see her eyes are starting to like well up with like tears.
Yeah. So as soon as she mentions that last bit, I'm more attentive, and it's like, Rubati, you need to come with me, and let's have a chat with my librarian. You've heard of our librarian and our library, in fact, correct?
She nods and like wipes the tears from her eyes, the back of her hand, and she says, "I have always longed to see it."
I'm glad to hear it. A lot of your people seem to act like they've never heard of it or they haven't heard of the renowned Fire Clan, and now you reveal to me that it is a farce, and that for what purposes, perhaps pride. And I wait and I look back up at her, and then I'm like, you should never be too proud. People seem to have ignored growing concerns for their own safety, which, as a unifying lord, I would love to correct. And I sort of take her by, put my arm around her shoulder and sort of say, would you excuse us to her, companions?
Yeah, and they're all kind of just like staring at you wide-eyed, and of course.
Yeah, so I just want to walk off and try to find Bernard.
Okay, cool. Well, let's jump sideways to whatever time and whatever the scene with Bernard and Saba and Sio is happening. So, Bernard, at some point prior to this, you were alone in a tent with what's his face and Habani, and and you were sharing your drink with him, and he was feeding you. Yeah, so they all kind of go back to having their conversation. Everybody that isn't Habani. And, yeah.
Okay.
And,
Habani.
Saba and Sia, you can overhear all of this because you're outside.
Nice.
With your elf ears.
Well, I am going to try to ply him with drink a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know how much effect that'll have, but I am going to try to. Well, I'm going to try to imbibe less than he does, but Bernard does enjoy.
There's a skill for this.
I have that skill. I have the drinking skill, which allows you to appear less drunk than you actually are, and
hold your liquor.
Better. I've got that one.
I feel like I need a sound clip of you being like, "Oh, I have that skill," because it's such a good Yep, that's how it works. Okay,
Learning how to play.
So drinking, it'll be an opposed test, and if you can beat him, you hold your shit better than he does.
Yeah.
And getting drunk and not showing it versus test between drinkers.
Yeah. Can I fork in falsehood with that, since I'm falsifying my drunkenness?
I don't think so. Because your intent. I guess your intent here is to get him drunk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can in that case. Yeah,
Okay.
Because you're faking being like, yeah, we're both really drunk, buddy.
We're friends, and that's why we're drinking.
We are friends that drink together. I'm going to give him... I'm going to say he has drinking one. He's a weird old man. He's been around a long time. I'll give him drinking one. I guess we'll do a roll-off. So,
All right.
I got one success.
Wait a second. So I need to fork in... Okay. Oh, and did we decide what the obstacle was?
It's a versus test, so you want to roll drinking as well and get more successes than him.
So just set it as ob 0 or ob 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't realize. Okay,
That's okay.
great.
Nice. All
I
right.
beat him by one.
You get what you want. So you get him to a position where he's a little bit drunk, and you're not very, and he's you've loosened his tongue with drink. Now, it's not that he's an inexperienced drinker. It's just you are more experienced. He was already drinking before you came in, and they're all over it. They make a berry wine probably that he's pretty into, and so he's been drinking a little bit, and he's feeling a little tipsy. And what degree do you steer the conversation? Where does this end up?
So I want to learn more about Marta. And
you want him to gossip about Marta?
Yeah, I want to know about the likelihood of the Plains tribe allying with the Clan of Fire, and what his insights are as to how we could make that happen.
Okay.
What does the tribe need, and how can we give them what they need?
Okay.
Basically, like how can we?
All right. Well, why don't you make a persuasion test? I think now that he's drunk, he's going to be penalized. So,
Okay.
how many dice do you have in persuasion?
Actually, I wanted to look it up because it says that I only have one, and that just doesn't seem right.
Okay.
Oh,
did
yeah,
you unlock it?
I did unlock it, and I have 3 dice in will, so I should have 3, right?
No, you unlock it at half.
Rounds down.
Half.
Okay.
Yeah, rounded down.
Okay, that
So
makes sense.
You do
Then.
have one. But you can fork in drinking and falsehood both.
Great. Okay.
So while you drink.
While I drink, I
Okay. So I'm gonna say the ob is gonna be 2.
okay. Let's try it. All right.
Did you get a 6 on that success? No, you did not. Okay.
No, I didn't.
So it's not that he stops talking or like gets like whatever, but you can't get that information out of him. He talks about people. He only seems to talk about people who have been dead a long time. Like he's like, "Oh, Marta, you do not need to listen. She's irrelevant. She's nothing. She doesn't matter. Her great grandmother, though, my what a woman." And like he tells all these. And I mean, okay, you're a history nerd, and
Yeah, so I'm actually probably lapping this up.
he's telling all these stories about the like heroes of their past. And he's like, but you know, she's long gone to ash, and we're only left with what we have. And I'm sure that in time, Marta will be as worthy a woman as her mother or her great grandmother, but she's not yet. She's still young and brash. And he just like kind of like rambles about like people that like to the point where like this guy's old, but he's not like he shouldn't have known. He didn't know her great grandmother. That's not possible.
Yeah. Based on what I overheard Saba say earlier in this conversation, I think I can put 2 and 2 together. And I now think that he is an elf.
You're just starting to assume that? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I am
he doesn't
assuming
have he doesn't have pointy ears, but
Huh.
he doesn't look like an elf.
Okay. Then
But I don't know. You've never seen every elf.
I don't
ever,
know what
so
he is, but I'm suspicious.
That's probably fair.
I definitely think that Saba knows or hasn't, which clearly she does.
Okay.
Okay. Can I get him to talk about Marta at all? Like compare it. How does she compare to her old elders of old that you knew so well?
I mean, he doesn't have like a great opinion of Marta, honestly. He talks about how, you know, she's fine, but she's not. He has this very kind of like the good old days kind of vibe about him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I commiserate with him on that. Say, I want to bring back the good old days. I want to make.
And I think when he say that, he gets kind of like a little grim, and he's like, "We can't. They're gone."
But we must make the best of what we have left.
He shakes his head. He says, "This world hasn't much left in it, if you ask me. Another 3-4 generations, and that's it."
Bernard is super not into this because my whole life is focused on improving the future. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna harshly judge on Bonnie. Say, I can't believe you would be so callous and lazy as to give up on the next generations.
Shakes his head. He says, "It's not laziness. Callousness, maybe, but you have to be callous. You have to be strong to survive out here. And besides, every fire burns out. It all runs its course."
Better to burn out than to fade away, Havani. You should spend your time doing as much good as you have left.
And he says, "That's not about doing good. There is no good in the world. It's just about carrying the ashes of the dead with you, about remembering."
All right. That really sounds like I can't persuade him of this.
Yeah, I mean, you could try. It would be a very difficult role. But he's got a lot of conditioning around, about his opinions.
That makes a lot of sense. I'd like to learn more about him.
Okay.
And I would like to try to get him to talk about himself. Say, how long has he been with the tribe?
Okay, well let's see if you can get him to talk about himself a little bit. Make an ob 3 persuasion test. He's getting kind of surly, and I think that like he's gone from jovial drunk to sad drunk. Not even sad, just like grim. He's grim drunk. So
All right, that's
We're
fair.
all soldiers now.
exactly.
He's like a very Soldier 76 kind of dude.
Yeah, he gets out and he pulls out his 2 swords and starts spinning around, stabbing people.
Can I? Is that still drinking affected or not?
No, I think at this point the drinking is it's a problem, not a solution.
Is it possible for me to succeed at this roll?
If you get a 6, you can spend a fate to re-roll it if you have any.
Yeah, I do actually still have one, and I
Okay.
just realized I should totally spend it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that Artha? Is that how that?
Yeah, it's all under Artha.
Great, okay.
So when you're rolling,
Okay, so you got 2 successes. Are either of those 6s?
No,
Okay.
they're 4s.
All right. So
Okay.
you're marking lots of tests. You're getting your persuade up, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think he shakes his head and he says to you, he's like, I know why you've come, you and that pompous noble. He shakes his head. He's like, you might be able to sway some of the foolish children. You might be able to convince people like Rubati that the fire means something, but all it leaves in its wake is ash. That's all there is left. Like, get out of my tent. And he like stands up and like totters a little bit. And like his servants like go to like, help him so he doesn't fall down. And they kind of like cut him off from you and are like, you should go.
All right. Can I? One last try. Bernard, I'm gonna try this guy.
Okay.
Can I sing you a song of my great lord? Just to lull you into slumber. You've had a long night. I just want to share some of my music with you.
I mean, I think you're not going to get his permission, but you could just start singing if you want.
All right.
Like, well, talking's done. I think you take a deep breath and
I'll stand up very, properly and say, as with the greatest respect, as a sign of my respect, I will give you this song.
okay. All right.
Because I'm nice.
Yeah. All right. So you can make a test. What's your intent here? Just to like plant the seed in him that you might not be a total joke, or like what do you want?
I'm trying to get him to believe in Octavian, which is a really long shot.
Yeah, one roll straight from 0 to 60 is not going to happen, but you could make him doubt his opinion of Octavian a little bit.
Okay, fair. So I'll do that.
So what's the skill per?
I think it must be lute.
Are you gonna play a song on your lute?
Yeah, it's the only instrument I know.
Okay.
With musical composition as well.
Yeah, you can fork it in because you're improvising it. Are you also singing? Do you have sing?
I actually don't have sing.
Okay, so you're just gonna play a song on your lute. Okay, to manipulate his emotions.
I guess that means there's no words, so I don't get to. I'm not really communicating anything.
It's about the feeling.
You could like talk in between.
Yeah.
The song.
And then a poem.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
You can fork persuasion too if you have the skill, because you are trying to persuade him.
I do have persuasion.
Okay. And I
this
think.
is,
Let me see what musical instrument. I think you're trying functionally to manipulate him. So we'll say that the ob is 3 because that's what we've been using so far.
Okay. I'm gonna try to tell him about the great battles of Octavian
So
and like fighting orcs in the thing, which I haven't composed that song yet.
Boy, it is a terrible song.
a
It does
real
not
bad
go well.
song.
Well, okay, so is this the thing? Is he just angry and doesn't want to listen, or do you fuck it up because you're nervous? Like, what does that failure look like, Brenner?
Maybe because I'm composing it on the spot. Nothing really sounds right, and I'm not rhyming, and I'm just like, and then we did this It was really cool.
The great thing is you
had to be there.
You flub the song and then are escorted out of the tent into the waiting arms of an elf who's always singing perfectly about everything all the time.
That hurts.
Well, I mean, at least I like how we didn't go here in the game because we didn't need to, but chat suggested you fork falsehood, but someone else said, well, you can't fork falsehood when Octavian is obviously actually that great. So in your mind, there's no falsehood.
That's right.
So
While
the drinking and the conversing and the singing were going on,
yes.
Is it possible for me to just sneak into lift a flap of the tent and steal this guy's cloak?
I mean, yes, possible, certainly. There's a room full of people, but you have elven stealth magic, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my. I'll be singing a song of my own.
Your elven cloaking field.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so it just works the same as stealthy, right?
Well, it's better than just stealthy.
Right.
You think I just sneak into something like a chump?
Like a common chump?
Got it all written down. Just hold on.
Sure.
Hold on. Let me find this. Threen of the Chameleon. So, this quiet song escapes the lips as barely a whisper. While it is sung, the ranger is cloaked in shadow and shifting light, invisible to the eyes of his foes. It adds advantage die to stealthy.
Excellent.
And as long as I get one success, I cannot be seen unless people are explicitly looking for me.
Okay, so just roll that and see if you can get a success.
Yeah.
Because if you get that, then I won't even bother rolling. Right? Nice, good work.
I do it.
Okay, so while all of this stuff is going on, we see Saba and Sia whispering the Threen of the Chameleon.
It's like right when they close the door on me, I'm just like, huh, okay, and just start humming and just Ghost in the Shell it, just disappear completely.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you sneak into the tent, and I think you can find and make off with the old man's cloak.
I'll look at it while I'm there. If I'm just passing among them completely unnoticed, I'll look at it and feel the material.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to steal it if I just want to confirm what it's like.
Okay. Now you don't have any particular tailoring skill or whatever, but
I have weaving way, which is what you use to make a gray mantle. So I have the necessary skills to make one of my own.
Okay. It's not a gray mantle. Though there is something in the thread of it. I think that when you hold it and sort of move it in your hands, you see a kind of reddish glow that passes between the fibers as it moves, as embers in a campfire. It appears at the edges to be not on fire, but there's a certain sort of ember quality to it.
And does this seem like humans made it, or
that you would not be able to know? It's not elven crafted, that's for sure.
Okay, well, if it's not made by an elf, then
yeah, and fuck it, just throw it in the trash.
So yeah, I just walk in, I look at this thing, hold it in the firelight, and then I look over at Bernard and the old man conversing.
Yeah.
And they're guffawing and patting each other on the back and having drunk conversation, and there's just this tiny inaudible sigh, and then I slip back through a flap in the tent.
Okay.
And go back to working on making some proper elven stuff.
So when Bernard is thrown out of the tent, you're not around.
Well, actually, yeah, I guess I'm just there when he gets thrown out. I just am waiting as if I had been there the whole time.
Okay.
I don't make eye contact.
Just head out.
I don't even want to talk about it right now.
Yeah, I just follow along behind you and don't say anything. And there's judgy, motherly silence.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
Grumble things about old coots and drunken fools.
Is it like staring into the future, Bernard?
Damn.
Right. All right. Well, let's grab our last break, and then when we come back, we will see what Gretelin and Ribati get up to. We'll see if we can heal you, and then see how much time we have after that for fate and what have you. So, stick around. We will be right back.